This is Lata here to continue with the chapter Nature and Significance of Management. In previous session, we discussed about level of management and its functions. Today, we will go with the topic the functions of management. Functions of management. Look at the diagram, you can find 5 functions of management: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. We'll repeat again. What are the functions of management? The functions of management are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. We'll move on with the first function of management, planning. Planning is the basic function of management. Planning determines in advance what to do, how to do, when to do, by whom it has to be done. We plan things to meet the future. Look at the second diagram. It says what are the related questions to be answered before setting your objectives. First, where it has to be achieved, when it has to be achieved, how it has to be achieved, what has to be achieved, by whom it has to be achieved, why it has to be achieved. These questions will relate to your setting up of your objectives, which is very important. Planning bridges the gap between where we are now and where we want to reach. All managers start with deciding in advance the organizational objectives to be achieved. They also need to plan the ways and means of achieving the goal. So your function doesn't stop with setting your objectives alone. You should know that you have to formulate your plans and policies and make arrangements for all those activities to be carried on. So the planning include 2 important activities. One is setting objectives. Second is your preparation of your plans. We'll move on with the next one is your organizing. Organizing is nothing but assigning your duties. Once we have decided about the objectives, then we need to examine the activities and the resources required to execute the plan. We have to decide what are the requirements, resources needed for carrying out your activities of your planning. It decides who will do a particular task, where it will be done, when it will be done. It is also concerned with assigning duties. What is assigning duties? You have to decide which duty has to be given for which person. So each person will be specialized in doing a particular activity. You have to decide who will do the activities. Second is grouping your tasks. That means then you will group the tasks. Who are the people who will come under one head? Who are the people who will come in the other head? So you will assign the duties and you will group the tasks. Third one, establishing authority and responsibility. What is authority? Authority is giving a command where the person can give a direction or command to the persons who are under him. Responsibility is the duties to be performed. So you need to find out who are the people who are to be held with authority, who are the people who have to be held with responsibility, and who will be accountable for both authority and responsibility, which is very important. Fourth is your allocation of resources. What is resources? You need your resources for fulfilling your activities. So according to your requirements, you need to arrange for all the resources. Resources may be an input of your raw materials, it can be a labor, it can be a finance, it can be a capital, whatever. So the resources which is needed for carrying out your activities is necessary. So organizing includes assigning duties, grouping tasks, establishing authority and responsibility. Fourth, allocation of resources. Third function is your staffing. What is staffing? Staffing means filling up various jobs in the organization with competent personnel. That means the vacancy must have arisen. You have to fill up a good personnel with a good knowledge and a trained person. Look at the diagram. What does this diagram says? Choosing the right person for the right job, which is the most important task of a staffing. You have to select the right person because selecting the right person will lead to efficiency and effectiveness. It also involves the activities like selection, placement, training and development of employees. The staffing department is responsible for training the employees as well as provide a room for development of the employees, which is considered as one of the important functions of your staffing. Staffing is otherwise known as human resource function because it deals with the human beings. So in short we can say that staffing include right person for the right job. We'll move on with the fourth function, which is your directing. So what is directing? Directing is a process of instructing, guiding, motivation, leading and coaching of the employees in the organization, which results in achieving the organizational objectives. It needs to give direction to perform the activities. There are two type components which is involved in your directing. One is your motivation, next is your leadership. You know that the motivation is an important factor because you work as a team and the team leader has to give a motivation for the workers under him to march towards the accomplishment of goals. Leadership, the manager should act as a leader to lead the group in the right track towards a commitment towards the achievement of the organization. Next is your communication. Communication is very important because proper communication will lead the group in a proper way, which is very important. The communication which has been received has to be passed on to the people in a right way is also one of the important function. Look at the diagram which says that directing is a key managerial function. So only you consider the directing to be a key managerial functions. So directing include issue of orders and instruction. Second, supervision. It is also has to take a task of supervising the works of others. Third, motivation. Fourth, leadership. Fifth is your communication. We will move on with the last functions of management, that is your controlling. Controlling means is a management function which monitors the performance of employees at all levels towards the accomplishment of organization goals. That means at each level you have to see that the plans are going as per it has been planned by the top management. How will you measure whether you are under the control? Performance can be compared with your actual plan or standard performance. When you compare your performance with the standard performance, if you find any deviation from the standard performance, you need to find out the reason for deviation and need to take an immediate corrective measure. For example, you need to produce 1000 units per day, but you find that only 100 units have been produced in a particular day. Then there is a deviation from your standard performance to be achieved. In that case, you need to find out the deviation of your plan. The reason may be a shortage of raw materials, maybe an absence of labor and so on. Whatever may be the reason, once you found out the reason, you have to see that the corrective measures are taken and this should never happen again in future, which is very important for a controlling department. So the objective of controlling is to ensure that everything in the organization is done as per predetermined goals. So we can say that the controlling include mainly the measuring actual performance with standard performance. Second, taking corrective measure. So what are the functions of management? The functions of management are planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. Next is focus of management functions at different levels. You have learned that there are three types of level. What each level is in charge of or which type of primary function it has to taken care by. Top level management will look into planning and organizing activities. Middle level management will take of staffing and coordination and lower level will take directing and controlling. So each level of management is interested with their following primary activities to be done. Children, we will end our session with functions of management. Next topic will be dealt in the next session. Thank you.